Hi, THMs. Welcome back to I'm Recruiter, the podcast that's all about empowering talent acquisition professionals like you. I'm your host, Prafula Deori, Head of Talent Acquisition at an MNC. I'm really excited for today's podcast. Now, you might be wondering why another TA community? Don't we have enough? Fair point. But here is the thing most of the communities out there are either too broad, too focused on selling you some things, or they just don't feel like home. That's where we come in. I'm Recruiter is a safe space built by recruiters for recruiters. It's a place to share knowledge, connect with peers, find mentorship, and discover amazing opportunities in all in one spot. Our mission is to upscale 100K TA folks and create world's best TA community platform. Sounds like something you want to be part of? Then stick around because today's episode is just for you. And if you like this podcast, please do like, share, subscribe, and comment. And if you want to join the community, you can fill the form mentioned in the comment section. We have a very special guest today. So, let me quickly introduce her. Today, we are joined by an amazing Anchal Arun Kumar, a seasoned talent acquisition leader with over 15 years of experience across APEC and EMEA. Anchal have made her remark in product services consulting companies, currently leading the charge at Synchron India Pvt Ltd. Her impressive resume include powerhouses like Philips, Nokia, E&Y, IBM, and Cognizant. And that's not all. Archel boasts certification from Harvard and slew of awards from outstanding contribution and a passion of sharing her expertise in the TA community. Archel, welcome to I'm Recruiter. We are thrilled to have you here.
Thank
Why
you.
don't you introduce yourself, Archel?
Sorry. Thank you so much, Prafula. I think this was a great introduction, and I first want to congratulate you for taking this time out of your busy schedule and creating this community. I would like to also add that you, as you rightly mentioned, we have quite a lot of communities, but for recruitment specific, I think. A community like this is going to really boost the recruiters morale, information, and a whole lot of discussion from a lot of
Yes.
experienced folks. So, thank you once again. Well, coming to my introduction, my name is Anchal. As cliche feels, you always start with your name, but yeah. I have done my BCom. That's where I started. I did my graduation in Bangalore from a college, Maharani Ammani College, which is in Malleshwaram. So I did my I was not very great in my academics, to be
Same
very
here.
honest. And I mean, along the line, as and when we grow, we realize that while academics is so important, it's not really necessary only the first rank student can excel.
Yeah,
uh,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
your attitude and a lot of knowledge and learning appetite takes you wherever. However, coming back to once I finished my BCom, and as a rebellious child that I was, I during my time we had the call center culture and world come into the into the space. And
Yes.
I was very interested in being a call center person because I had very little exposure, because we didn't have so much of internet and information as today we have the access to. And I wanted to be one of that, but in my house there was a huge opposition at my house for me to pick up a role which is a call center and a night, something where you're spending the entire night outside the house, because I come from a little bit of that orthodox set of. Having said that, it's not a bad idea to take a BPO or a call center job. It was very fascinating even then, and I'm sure a lot of people are still at that kind of a world. But because of my folks pressurizing me, I very reluctantly picked up my master's degree. And very strangely, I have done my master's in tourism administration. I did a full-time master's course, so it is equivalent to MBA, because I wanted to perform very badly during my entrance test, so that my parents somehow will get convinced and say, okay, let me put her into the call center.
Whatever you want to do.
Yeah, yeah. So that's the rebellious phase that we always, all of us are in.
Yes,
um,
yes.
but having said that, I moved into doing my masters in tourism, and it was a full-time course, and it was pretty much like an MBA. It's just that we touch upon a little bit of tourism aspect and a little bit of architecture. So once I finished my tourism, I realized that's not at all what I wanted to do. Because although I like, traveling, but the kind of jobs that were available for a tourism person was very few. So I was wondering what to do. And then, you have your bunch of friends. So back in those days, we used to choose our career, our education, college, based on how our friends would choose.
Friends. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so our friends were a great influence in our life, and
That's
somewhere or
true.
the other we are still connected to those friends. So a couple of my friends got into a recruitment agency, and they said, hey, why don't you join us, mein karte hain. That was the thing, because we didn't have so much exposure as today
Yeah,
to,
yeah, yeah.
I've seen a lot of these students very definite about, I don't want to
They're
do
focused. They know what
recruitment.
to do.
Yeah, they say, I don't want recruitment, I want comp and ben, I'm interested in HR partnering. So we hardly knew any of that. And that's when, you know um, that's one lesson of my life that I would like to share, is that, I took the chance of doing recruitment. And from the college days and school days, I have been very enthusiastic. I like to interact with people. And the job started getting so interesting for me that I can't thank my blessings for being a part of this recruitment community. I don't think I would have been great at anything else. I don't think I would have been great at a technical person, or anything else. Even along the line, during my career, I had an opportunity to move into HR partnering, but I still said no, recruitment is what I want to stay in. So
Same
whatever
here.
15 years of my education that I've put in, it has always been into, all of it was into recruitment and hiring, and the exciting life that we have every day. So yeah, that's
Great,
a
great, great.
short introduction.
Thank you for such a lovely introduction, Achal. I can definitely relate. So when during my school time and graduation time, I was not having much clue कि क्या करना है, right?
Correct.
फिर जो सीनियर कर रहे हैं या जो फ्रेंड लोग कर रहे हैं, we are just following the same path, right?
Yeah.
And during my MBA days, I think even I also was applied for multiple BPOs. I got some offer letters as well. But at that time, they used to provide cabs facility, but not to all the places. Certain stops there, and it was a night shift. So even I thought of doing BPO job because it was very popular at that time.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah,
It was a
yeah.
very fancy job and very
Yeah, it was
popular
very
among.
fancy. Correct.
Yeah,
More than
yeah,
popular, it was very fancy. Something नया आया हुआ है
yeah,
market में.
yeah, yeah. सबने कहीं ना कहीं मतलब आपने बताया कि यू यू आई कैन रिलेट बिकॉज मैं भी पढ़ाई में बिल्कुल वैसे ही था सो मेरे फैमिली ने बोला कि यू हैव टू डू इंजीनियरिंग तो मैं जैसे तैसे कर कुरा के बैकलॉग्स लगा के निकल तो लिया देन एमबीए के टाइम पे आई आई गॉट लिटिल बिट सीरियस कोई बैक नहीं था बट समहाउ
Hmm.
आई मैनेज टू क्लियर माय एमबीए
Right.
आपका क्या सीन
So, as I said, I was rebellious, and I wanted to only be into, I wanted to get into the BPO. But my parents said कि इसकी शादी नहीं होगी अगर ये master's degree. So that was another issue that was going on, and they said, you do masters, and after that you do what you want to do.
ओके ओके
So that's when I said, okay, let me do a master's degree. And it took me some time to figure out what I want to do in life, because I was really clueless. I didn't have, like, I think today, kids are very ambitious. They already
Yeah.
know, I want to
Yeah.
become
Yeah.
an actor, I want to become this, I was like, let's let's go with the flow. That was pretty much how it was.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
because I was not very I'll give you, I'll go a step back. So I always studied in a small town.
Okay.
So as a child, I was in a small town in Karnataka itself. So during that time, my English was not that great.
Okay. I
Uh,
can relate.
yeah, I would barely be able to even construct a sentence in English. Though I was studying in an English medium school, but
Oh,
वो नाम पे होता है. I used to also remember my English teacher used to come and start talking in Kannada. So that has been the case always. So when I came to Bangalore, I realized that it is important for you to know the language that is English. Otherwise, you will never be able to be in the race or whatever race you're running. Even if it is your own race, you will never be able to succeed. So during my graduation, when I got my offer from BPO, in the entire college, we were three girls who got it, and I was one of it. So I felt, and
कुछ तो
BPO
है.
is,
हाँ.
and BPO is only based on your
Yes,
communication. है ना?
communication and all.
Yeah, from zero communication to where I was, I felt like, this is my calling. This is where I need to be. But I also thank my parents for being that strict, and thankfully I didn't. Or maybe that would have been another life. But today, the kind of life I have, I'm pretty grateful and happy to.
Great.
And because there was a pressure to do the master's degree, I picked up tourism because I thought it'll be easy breezy.
Okay.
And somehow another 2 years, we'll just wind up. My college life was good, but what I used to do was मेरा वो कीड़ा नहीं मरा BPO का. तो
Okay.
call center का. So when we used to have the vacation time, I used to go and work in a call center for 1 or 2 or 3 months. क्योंकि the first few days will be a training period, right? Because I
Yes.
really was
Yes.
curious. I didn't want to leave that opportunity. I said, when I can crack it, why shouldn't I? So I did go and get that kind of exposure, and I also fumbled upon a recruiting agency briefly, where again I also learned a lot. So that's how I begin my career. And then I decided, okay, recruiting is what I want to do because it means a lot of talking. It's a day job, thankfully, for most of us. Yeah.
Yes.
I
Yes.
know. I know. Recruiting is also sometimes a night job. It's a lot of talking, interaction, and the energy that I have. I thought it is, getting utilized in the right place. So
Great.
that's
Great. Good to know.
that's my
Great.
small.
I just wanted to know, you mentioned about like you have been part of many different small cities or town within Karnataka, right? So where exactly you were born and brought up?
I was born in Bangalore. I was brought up in cities like a small city like Davangere. I was in
Davangere.
Coimbatore briefly. Coimbatore, I think now is very famous thanks to Isha Yoga. So I studied in Coimbatore, and
Okay.
very briefly, I also studied in a city called Trichy, Tiruchinappalli.
Yeah.
So, and then after my ninth, I have been in Bangalore all my life.
Okay. Was
From
it
there.
because of your parent
Yeah,
jobs?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
My father's was a transferable job, so along with him, we had to also move around.
Okay. And since you have traveled multiple different places and multiple different cities or towns, so which city or town you like the most and why?
See, I'm a very city girl. I like Bangalore the best. See, either you or I would like to live in a really small village. I somehow feel the towns are wannabe cities. They wanna be like a city. So when you are in a town, they keep saying, "Oh, our town is just like Bangalore. We have all this."
Yeah, yeah,
Why do you want
yeah.
to be like a city, right? And your exposure, I felt during that time, in when I was in small towns, it was not exponential. I feel the speed, everything is in Bangalore, the city, where you learn every day. You're bumping into, you learn from your traffic woes also every day. I think traffic has taught all of us to be patient. That's the biggest problem all of us have. So yeah, I kind of like the city life.
Okay, great,
Or
great,
I
great.
would probably live in a small, tiny village. That's
Okay, great. So, coming to current scenario, right? So you are in Bangalore and you are working with one of the MNCs. So, what's your roles and responsibilities are, and what exactly you need to do in your roles and responsibilities?
okay. I have a very broad roles and responsibilities. So every day is a different day. Okay, just to talk about my roles and responsibility in Synchron, I play a talent acquisition leader role for APAC region. I have my day starts with so I'm in a global role, and I also have a few of them reporting into me. So when I start my day, I usually start with my team. So we kind of decide how the day looks like. Not every day, but most of the days we connect because remote makes it very difficult to stay connected. So
Yeah,
uh,
yeah, yeah,
this is something that I believe in. Even if you communicate, you over communicate, it's all perfectly fine. But you
yeah.
communicate.
That's true.
So I get together and we see what are the recs, where are our challenges, how do we work alongside with my recruiter. Because as I work for a product company, our focus area is to ensure that we bring in quality and not quantity. So if someone needs any help in the hiring aspect between my team is what I kind of work with them. Then when the day progresses, I also have a role of responsibility because Synchron is a wonderful company to be in, especially because we are neither a startup nor we are a big company. So we
Big
are somewhere
company.
in between, which helps us to along with the company we are also able to evolve. So a lot of these processes and a lot of other aspects which we are really struggling with, we touch upon it. So we have a lot of projects, in-house projects that we do because my role, like my team is a global team, so I work not just with my local team but also globally and try and see how we can touch upon the processes, and we're trying to build a lot of projects to get the processes better. So we recently got our referral policy out, so we
Okay,
are the policy maker. So that's the another exciting part of the role. And I don't just work with people in India, but I also have the opportunity to work with people almost across the globe.
nice. Great. And being a leader, TA leader, right? What kind of challenges you have to face, right? So the reason why I'm asking you this question is because there are many IC, senior IC recruiters who want to
Hmm.
become a or a manager, right? So what kind of
Yeah.
challenges you need to face so that the recruiters who want to become a manager or a leader know how to prepare, and how to overcome those challenges.
See, challenges, there are a lot of people challenges that you face if you are in a people management role. One thing what I've learned during my tenure is that, everyone is different. We come from different culture, different background, different upbringing. I think all that kind of matters for the person you are. And you have to come into a professional setup and work there, right? So everyone is different. So one thing to become a people manager, definitely what I would believe is that you have to have the appetite to understand people, work with people, and to be able to understand two sides of the story and not
Yes,
get reactive to things. You have to be patient.
patience is important. Yeah.
And the biggest lesson that I have learned during my thing is not to be reactive. So
Okay.
when there is an issue, I usually sit on the issue, think through that, and then figure out a solution. And most people are only discussing the problem. I would think that is another big problem that we have in today's world. I would prefer discussing the solution to the problem. It's bound to happen because more than your family, you are working with your colleagues. You also spend equal number of time with your colleagues. So with that, you have to really maneuver through these emotional, mental boundaries that everyone sets, and you have to figure that out. So when you're an individual contributor, what happens is you do it the way you want to.
Yes.
When you are into people management, you have to have that kind of a sensitivity. You have to ensure that you're not you're not biased, you're not you're not being very too favorite. I mean, I have two team members with different age group. One is in 20s and one is in it's a very different different kind of people that you meet. So yeah, that's I think is imperative. Rest everything you will learn along with the work.
That's true. That's
there
true.
is no there is no definite mantra. Rest will come with work, but this some of your personality traits you have to center in, like
Okay.
being
So
patient,
how did you
understanding.
learn?
Yeah,
How did you learn about like understanding the people and like managing the team? Because in general, right, when even I become manager, there was no one to say that you have to work in this way, you have to work in that way. You have to figure it out, right? You
correct.
are just thrown in the swimming pool and you have to learn how to swim.
Correct. I think you answered my question. I was thrown into the swimming pool and I learned it. But what I would think is, which a lot of people miss out today, is that there is. I think you should be a constant learner and you should keep reading. So how does one look up to you? Why? I mean, if you have to look up to another person, what do you look up to them? Because you look up to them when you see that they have a slightly better quality than you or slightly better knowledge than you, or the way they handle things is slightly better, right? So by bringing in the knowledge, the learning aspect, your grounding of patience and everything, and the personality that you are, they automatically start gravitating towards you. Your team starts trusting you. Trust is another very important thing that you should build with your team. And how do you do that? A lot of people managers are very insecure, if I can use that word, about their work. They probably don't share a lot with their team members, they don't empower their team members. So I don't fully believe in servant leadership, but I am a little bit of into that. I would like to empower my team and let them drive it, and that is a compliment for me if they are able to do it on their own.
Yeah.
So that's something that I think was my learning alongside, because I had to learn to stop being insecure, not doing it. This when you initially become a leader, it becomes difficult for you to move from a individual contributor to sharing things,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
A leader is someone who has to learn to share things. Your work you should share without any inhibition that this person is going to be able to do. And a lot of these leaders also have a problem that, oh, what if my team member fails?
Yeah.
So a leader is a person who should be able to, handhold and say, it's okay if you fail. I'm
I'm
by
there
your
for
side.
you. Yeah. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
So you have to attune yourself to all these kind of attributes to become that people leader. You have to gain trust of the person. The person has to look up to you. B, you have to be extremely patient with that person. Three, you have to develop some kind of learning and knowledge so that that person has something to look up to and you are a mentor to that person. And how that happens is only if you upskill yourself constantly.
Yeah. So nice suggestion. So since you have mentioned about upscaling, right? So definitely one challenge what I've seen for anyone who is moving from an IC to a manager role, they forget to upskill themselves. They try to work on the same uh, style of working, and because of which all the problem comes up, right? So when you are talking about upscaling, what are the different avenues or different ways of upskilling yourself from an IC to a manager role? Like for example, what you did you read books, did you did some kind of courses, did you talk to some of our leaders to mentor you, what you did?
Yeah, upskilling can be anything. I mean, I don't want to again give a definite way of doing it because
So
everyone
let,
has a different
yeah,
journey.
yes, yes, yes,
So if I have to talk about my journey, how did I upskill myself? Is of course, I was not an avid reader at all. Okay,
same
and then I
here.
started realizing exactly. So I would think I would rather sit and watch that movie for 3 hours, and that is a better time pass and kaun padega. Okay, but then eventually I started realizing that I'm way behind in terms of my knowledge. When I saw myself not being able to, when I saw myself that I'm not there. So that's when I said, okay, reading is one of the things that will allow you to upskill yourself. And eventually I have started enjoying reading. So I have now, I can talk a little about, the books that I have read and so on. That is one way of upskilling. Usually dedicate 5, 10, 15, depending on the time that I feel like, every day, just to read about what are the current trends, what's happening in the industry, and many other things. I kind of really work on that. And I want to also share an interesting learning experience
Sure.
of mine. So when in 2021, I decided that I should take my mother. My mother is my only living parent, and she kind of mentioned, she didn't ask me for Tirth Yatra like Rishikesh or Haridwar. She said, I want to see the US because she has is very affiliated to watching a lot of English movies, and she said, I want to see the US. And I said, okay, let's take her to the US. So the way I planned my trip was, when I decided to go to the US, I was on a B1 visa, and I said, okay, let me see what are the courses that I can do from the US. And that's where I decided to do a course in Harvard, which supported my studies with the visa that I was going in. In the Harvard, it was an in person
I was
course.
not knowing that it was okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was an in person course. So it was, so my mom was double elated. A, we are going to the US. B, my daughter is going to Harvard and she's going to do a course over there. It was a 3-day course, and the entire experience was totally worth it. So I took my mom. I planned the trip in such a way that I was able to study those 3 to 4 days in an in-person college, and also take my mom around US, and
Yes.
we
Yes.
saw a lot of things. Now, this is a way, this is an opportunity that I encashed on. A lot of people thought I was crazy. A lot of people also thought it was very, very interesting the way I planned my trip. And the whole opportunity of studying in Harvard, I never dreamt of it, considering my education was, considering how bright a student I was. So I never thought I would reach there. But yeah, what I would like to say is upskilling and learning and reading the whole. Today you don't really need to go to Harvard. You can do online courses. I think you should keep investing in that. A portion of your amount should be invested in that, and your rest of the other activities as well. That's what I
Yep.
would say.
Yep. Yep. Sure. Great. I would love to know more, little bit about how you planned your courses, and how did you find those courses and all those things. Did someone help you, or you did plan everything for you and your mom? And how did you thought of going to US and doing that particular course?
Yeah, so as I had done my master's in tourism, I did my XLRI also from the distance education. But I wanted to do something on the leadership aspect, because I was stepping into the leadership level of my career, or I had already stepped into, maybe. So I was looking for courses, and at the same time, we were planning a trip with my mom to the US.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So when I was looking for courses, of course, as any sensible person, they would first look for courses like IIM and those
Yeah.
kind of things.
Yeah.
So that's what I kind of did. But when I saw the course in IIM also is pretty similar that I had,
Similar. Yeah. Yeah.
and while I was researching, I fell upon these courses which Harvard was also providing, and which was similar, and it had a global flavor to
Yes.
it. So when I spoke to my friend who is in the US, I asked her, she's my schoolmate, and I asked her, what do you think I should do? She said, you can always do your IIM course because you're based out of that. If you get an opportunity to go to Harvard, I think you should try that. And that's when I said Harvard it is. And then I planned my entire trip. in a way that, of course, when I was attending classes, my mother was in the hotel room, and I had given her a task, as to come back in the evening and ask her, what did you do? You have to go and explore things on your own. So, in a way, I was trying to build leadership quality within her by, by taking some initiative on herself, and I was going for my classes to learn things. And one thing I was very fascinated was when I went to Harvard, I decided I will wear a sari. I will not go
Oh,
in another attire. I don't know how much it impacted, but it was something that everyone would come and talk to me, and they said, how beautifully you're wearing a sari. I said, yeah. I mean, you get a little emotional that you're an Indian.
yeah, I can feel the vibe right when you were talking.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
that is definitely a good way, Achal, and glad to know that you have done something like that. Really amazed, proud
yeah.
of you, Achal. Really proud of you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thanks a lot. And I got a lot of support from my manager. I would like to mention his name, Stefan. He was very appreciative and very supportive while I had done this trip to alongside my mom, because it was a 3 week trip and I had to sporadically access my emails, and he was a great support.
Okay. So in terms of course wise, like since you have also looked upon the course here in India and courses in US as well. So what was the price in both the places, and like what definitely for people here in India, like your friend have mentioned, we can do it anytime, right? And if you
Yeah,
get the opportunity for US, which is a global thing, why can't we do that, right? So
yeah.
in terms of like package wise, like what was the courses fee was, and what was the timeline? Like in a day, how much time frame you have to plan for that particular course?
Do you want me to give the price?
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
that's
all
fine.
right.
I think it's a candid thing, right? Because
Okay.
it's
Okay.
good to
We can
know.
anyway Google it. All right.
Yes.
So that's a very good question. The course prices was not very, very. There wasn't huge difference. So the IM course was around a lakh and a 50 or close to 2 lakhs, and what I did with Howard is around 2.5 or 2.7.
Okay.
So of course, if you have to, you have a lot of online courses also in Harvard that you
Yeah.
can,
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
not just Harvard, there are quite a lot of other universities also that do.
Stanford or Oxford or
Yeah,
all the big leagues as well.
yeah. The only thing that I didn't quite like about our course was it was a little short. So it was around three
Okay.
to four days. So it's like a packed course. But whatever I've learned there, uh, I apply that in many of the universities that I go to. So I do a lot of campus hiring as a part of my role.
Yeah.
And we did a few activity based things in Harvard, and I used the same challenge. And I have seen tremendous response the way people do it. So I was invited to Jaipur University. I used the same thing. So I mean, the learning was immense, and it was a very, how do you say, it was more not like a textbook learning, but
It was
situational learning.
okay. It was
It
much
was,
more engaging wise.
yeah, activity based learning. So there was
Okay.
barely any lecture. So it felt like it was too short, but yeah, it was all right. And
I'm yeah. Sorry.
yeah,
Please go ahead. I'm a bit curious to know a little bit more
yeah.
because it's looks definitely interesting.
Yeah. See, I do not want to advocate that you should really invest 2 lakhs or 3 lakhs and
Yeah.
all. Don't
Yeah.
do that unless you don't have that kind of money. You can also upskill yourself with courses which are available in Coursera and LinkedIn. They are great, wonderful courses the way they are curated. In fact, if I have to get into any kind of a session or anything, I usually go and take some courses just to see, I would have my view, but when I
Yes.
do some courses, it broadens my view, right? So I end up doing these courses as well. So I don't want to advocate a lot of Harvard or IIM, but given an opportunity, I think it is great. It is wonderful. It's refreshing from your current role. And what I also got an opportunity in Harvard was, I met people from different countries. So I was the only one who had flown from India, but there were people from UK, a lot of people from US, there were people from Mexico. And they all come from very different background.
Background.
Someone was from marine engineering, someone was from, I think I was the only one from IT, unlike Bangalore, right? If you go into a forum, everyone's from IT, but over there it was very different. So leadership was a broader subject which allowed a lot of people to come. So what I did was I just didn't go to see Niagara Falls, but I also decided that I'll obtain a degree from this country, and thankfully some of the courses, I think in some of these colleges, they support if you are going on a B1 B2 visa.
Okay, okay, okay.
So
Good to know.
if
Good to
you
know.
have that visa and if you're traveling and if you have the opportunity, I would definitely say you should
Yep.
encash on that.
Okay, great. Can you also tell a little bit about like what are the your learnings you had and how did you implement those things in the Jaipur University or college where you have visited, right? What are the different things?
I it's
Just a gist. Don't go in detail. Just a
okay.
gist.
Okay. So
I don't want in detail, and it's
yeah,
okay if you don't want to share as well. It's
no,
perfect.
because that's a kind of, I mean, that's a challenge that I use. Which, all right, so let me just put it in a more so. So usually when I go to what I learned is, of course, how do you train to become a better leader, and what are the essentials of being a leader, what are the different styles of leadership. There's an authoritative leadership, then you can be a servant leader, and the question always comes is this a right leadership style, or is this a wrong leadership style? But the answer is, I used to always have that question. Oh, maybe authoritative leadership style is a bad leadership style. You should never adopt it. But having said that, it could be a little aggressive and it's not the right style, but it would not be appropriate for a certain atmosphere. It could be appropriate for another atmosphere. So,
Certain, yeah.
what my learning was, it cleared a lot of myths that I had, and it cleared a lot of uncertainties that I had in my, I mean, some blurred, areas in my mind were cleared. So that's what I would say, what I learned in Harvard. What I would implement in these, I do not want to really get too deep into the
No, no,
activity.
that's perfectly fine. Fine. Yeah.
Yeah, I usually use that as a surprise for the students, and that activity really brings out the team, how your team is structured. So in your team you have five different people or six different people, and everyone comes with a different strength. It is very easy for me to tell you this and you will be like, acha, different strengths, whatever. But when I give the exercise to them, okay, they are able to recognize that everyone comes with a different strength. There could be one person who's only putting in the brain, the other person is trying to do the real work because he does not really want to apply his brain as much,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
he's not a strategic person. And there is another person who's very important, who's just helping them, these two out. So when you do it in an activity based way, then you really understand the importance of team and how everyone plays a very important role. So a few of those things that I kind of
Awesome. Awesome.
learned there.
Great. Good to know, Achal. Thank you for sharing. I think definitely it will be helpful for everyone, right? Like what you have learned. How was your experience? And we can definitely see that from your face as well. Like when you were talking about Harvard and your experiences and everything, it was definitely something we can see in your face as well. Great.
Yeah.
So moving to a little bit about your personal life, Achal. So what you love to do when you are not working?
The one thing I love to do is I love to travel. So, and I'm serious when I say I love to travel. I think, and I love to trek. I think these hobbies are something that has really brought in a different person in me. I'm a single child, spoiled. That's how I was brought up. But traveling taught me how to be adjusting, how to be your timeliness. How do you deal with situations where you have very less, and you still sometimes you don't have all the, it's not your house all the time,
Luxuries
right?
and everything.
One of the greatest things that I think in my travel I've done is a trek to the Himalayas. I would I mean, there was this movie Uchai or something recently that came out on trekking, and it really teaches you how you appreciate life, how it throws you back into basics, how you when you are traveling, you're traveling with a bunch of people, how you know you should learn how to share, you should learn how to be adaptive, all your leadership skills that you talk about, indirectly you're applying here. And my last trip I went to was Japan. So
Oh, nice.
I did a solo trip in Japan, and again,
How was your experience?
it was fantastic. It is a country to go to. I mean, everyone should go to Japan. I feel what a brilliant country, what amazing people. The culture there is pretty similar to India because they follow Buddhism. So it is a fantastic country. I mean, they are fighters. The country shows it just screams out in the country itself that they are fighters. So the crazy thing I did during my trip was I decided to stay in a hostel the first few days because you watch a lot of Bollywood movies sometimes and you get influenced. So that was scary. You walk in a hostel and there was the hostel. One is you're given like a small box to stay in
Okay.
uh, because it's a dormitory. It's a small box and you have to do everything in that small box. And then I went for lunch. I said, okay, let me see, let me go for lunch. There's a common cafeteria. I went there. Then I started talking. So one guy was there, and when you are in a dormitory, people are there from across the globe. So I met one gentleman and I said, hey, where are you from? What were you doing? He said, hi, I'm from the US. I was a drug peddler. I just came here for. I was like, oh my God, what have I signed up for?
Then what was your reaction after that? You ran away or like you completed your
No, no,
conversation?
he's a drug peddler. I just continued with my conversation. He asked me, what are you doing here? I said, I've come here to go around. And there was another lady there. She was around 60 plus. She
Okay.
had invested her entire fortune to
Savings.
come to
Okay.
Japan. And she said, and obviously because she's staying in such a hostels are very, very economical over there.
Yeah.
So she obviously didn't come from a very economically high background, but still she invested her entire amount to just come there as a visitor. So it was very interesting. The first day I little got worried and I said I should just check into a better hotel. I don't think this is really needed for me. But then I told myself no, I should not
You
be
have to
so
adjust. You have
judgmental.
to.
Yeah, I should, but I don't advocate it. It could be dangerous sometimes. You don't know. You have to be careful. But yeah, you have these lot of these stories to say when you go for a trip. So traveling is
I totally do agree, and you can get lots of different realization as well, right? For example,
correct.
which you told during your Himalayan trek, like about sharing other things, and your personality also come into picture, right? Like
Yeah,
what
yeah.
you really are, right?
What exactly you are,
What?
how
Yes,
much you
yes.
can tolerate, all those things. In fact, when you go on a trek around 6 to 7 days, you're out of network. I had no idea what was happening in the other side of the world, and you're only walking into the woods. While you're walking, every time you'll think, "What am I doing? Is this really something that I want to do? Like, ये क्या है ये? कीचड़ में we are walking like idiots." But when you come back, the journey that you walk is fantastic. The people that then you start mingling with people, then you start becoming friends with them, then you start sharing with them because you have to stay with them for 7 days, and they are a bigger family. I mean, they're more close knit family at that point in time, more than your family back home. So it's fascinating and it's extremely exciting. It
Yeah.
also challenging your own body. We were 28 people who started off. I did Har Ki Dhun, the trek was, and we were
Okay.
28 people who started off, and only 23 could reach the top. A lot of people backed off. So your body and mind. I mean, I'm not saying you should not back out. If you can't do it, don't do it. But
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
it also is a great learning. challenging your body and all that. It's
Great.
amazing.
Great. Coming back to our recruiting related stuff,
Yeah.
Achal, very interesting discussions altogether so far. So, like you have like worked with multiple different companies altogether, right, throughout your career. Like, how did you start? Definitely, you have mentioned that your friend joined and you started your career with him or her. Then, how is your growth path? Like, what you learned, what kind of challenges you have faced, and what make you stay with recruiting?
Yeah, so my growth path was when I started, I was fiercely competitive. I don't know whether I was mostly competitive about myself. And I had very clear milestones that I set once I got onto my career path. Because I would like to believe that you should take chances. A lot of people are very skeptical of taking chances, so my chance was something that I took. So when I started in a consultancy, and then I got exposed to being an RPO and going into Mindtree. Then I said,
Okay,
I think I have pretty much enough potential to be an Mindtree employee over just being where I am today. So that's when I said, okay, fine, let me look
take
for
a
a job,
chance. Yeah.
and yeah, take a chance and go into the corporate world. I got a job in Nokia, but it was a contractual job. Those days, contractual jobs were the
Yes.
only jobs that a recruiter would get. And if you've got a full time job, that means you're like the best recruiter, or
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
it's another level, right? So Nokia was a lot of learning that I had. It was Nokia Siemens back then. So the first few months I was just out of college. I was very immature, and it was very difficult for me to cope up with this, serious and professional environment. I was wondering why these guys so serious. Can't they chill out? So it took me some time to figure that out. In fact, I'm still in touch with my Nokia colleagues, and they see a humongous change in me from where I
How you
started
were
to where
that
I
time?
am.
Yeah.
Yeah, my closest friend is from Nokia, so she would have lots to advocate about how did I make this change. So eventually, during the work, I grew, and then I said, no, I don't want to be a contractor. I think I can be better than this. And then I started looking for a job, and it was a struggle, but I got into IBM Labs. That was my full time role. So after like
Okay.
two changes, I got my full time role. And then no stopping. I said, okay, I can be a lead. Sorry, I'm not going to be just. And I became a lead in IBM. Then when I started in IBM after a few years, I want to tell you another interesting story. When I was an RPO. See, this is where you have to have a right attitude, and you should be able to know how to work along with people. So when I was in Mindtree, I used to work with. I will not name him. He's doing very well right now in another company. So I would have to work with a person, a gentleman, who was not very gentle. So he would
Okay.
be a person who nobody would like to talk to. Um, they had a big problem with him because he was rude sometimes and he was a little brash. But because our work has to be done, I used to be very nice to him, even though he was rude to me. I used to smile and, come on, let's get it done. And somehow I built that kind of rapport with him. And that's how, I didn't keep in touch with him, but he started realizing that, even though I'm rude to this girl is nice to me. So he
Yeah.
also came mellowed down.
Okay. Okay.
And when I was in IBM, I finished. IBM was not doing well, and they had to like let go of a few of their recruiters. I started looking for a job, and this gentleman was in Cognizant. Okay, just saw my profile and he said, "I know her. Please call her for the interview." Okay, and opposed to all the other candidates, had only two interviews, and I was given an offer, and I was given an offer of a senior associate in Cognizant, which is a lead role.
Okay.
There was nobody in the entire organization, in the entire recruitment organization, at a senior associate role but me. So when I started off in Cognizant, nobody wanted to be my friend because they felt it is so unfair that I come from outside and I have got that role, and people within the organization who are deserving didn't get that
Okay.
role. That rapport that I had with him in Mindtree, after 3 or 4 years, he still remembered that, and he gave me the opportunity. And Even now he's very proud of me. I did meet him recently, and he was pretty proud of me. So that's where you have to create that relationship building, your rapport building. You never know where it's gonna work wonders.
Yes, that's true. That's
Yeah.
good stories. And definitely, I think we all sometime have faced similar situation. And what uh, Archel have done, we could have done the same. But most of the people, sometimes we get scared, sometimes we don't like that
Yeah,
environment. But again, like we have to adjust, we have to give a try at least, right? And you
yeah.
never know, like what Archel have received after that after 4 years, right? Because of the relationship building. From this, definitely we understood that relationship building is definitely the important, right?
Absolutely. You never know who would be your support at what time. I
Great. Okay. So since we all are dealing with different types of AI news, different kind of information and all those things, a hot topic right now. So just wanted to take your opinion, Achal. So what do you think about AI specifically in recruiting?
So, of course, AI is something new. Anything that comes new is always there is a fear, and there is a the inhibition, and there is some kind of a thing that these are going to take away our jobs. We are going to get jobless in a few years, and so on and so forth. But one, I also remember one of the hiring manager in Synchron who came. I was with my colleague, with my team member who's my reportee, and he comes and tells my reportee, "Oh, I'm sorry, but I think now the Chat GPT has come. It's going to take away your job." Because Chat GPT is going to read the resume and take care of everything. So, and my colleague looks at me and she's like, "Oh my God, is this for real?" But so I'll tell you a small story. Back in the day when ATM was really, was introduced, there was a huge thing that maybe the teller's job is going to get obsolete and we will not have any tellers at all in the town. Okay. So technology can play in different ways. Of course, right now, when we look at AI and Chat GPT, um, it is useful for the recruiters, but I don't fully believe that it will completely, replace a recruiter. Just the way ATM did not replace the teller. In fact, what happened was there were more jobs created for tellers, because then um, the branch that they were operating in, with the ATM coming in, they realized that they can open more branches, because ATM was taking a lot of the cost and other aspects. So they said, okay, we will have more branches open, and that kind of created opportunity for more tellers
More
as
people.
well. So that can also be adverse. It's not necessarily that if there is a technology coming, it would replace us. It could also make it better. You never know. If you look at it today, the first thing the hiring manager will see and say, "Oh, this is a Chat GPT resume. I don't think he knows anything." Yesterday, I had a call with my hiring manager, and he says, "This looks like Chat GPT resume. I don't think I want to talk to him." So I
A
think,
new challenge for recruiters then.
yeah, precisely. So we have to go back to the candidate and say, "Hey, you look like a Chat GPT, and this is not going to fly. So try to, make your resume more realistic." In fact, I remember I used to have this team member in my team. His English was quite average, but his emails were like some Shakespeare scholar. I used to ask him, very well written. I don't want to name him again. I am very well written. How did you manage this? He would say, "Oh, Anchal, I managed it." But it's pretty evident that it is from ChatGPT. So, the proofreading part. In fact, even me, I'm not using my own brain to proofread my own emails. I just put it on
Yeah,
ChatGPT and say proofread it,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
So,
yeah,
at some level, it is also killing our intelligence,
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
that intelligence, sensibility, emotion can never be replaced by a machine. While I
That's
say this, I can't be the spokesperson, and I can't declare that it will never replace. You never know what's going to happen. Something like the teller and the banker job could happen with us, or something adverse, but I would think that it will take some more time for all that to
sure.
anything to really drastically change in this section.
Great to know that, and nice example. So,
Yeah.
just before we wind up, since we are almost on the time, so just wanted to take your opinion about the talent acquisition folks, right? So, what suggestion you have for all the TA folks who are in this race, right? There are many TA folks around, right, across the globe, and
Yeah.
everyone want to win, right? So, from a humble background, how you started and how you have grown in your career, what advice you have for our TA folks who want to really win in their career path?
I just heard the speech from Roger Federer. Okay, I really loved it. So he talks about three lessons that he learned in life. He talks for 20 minutes, but I will try to keep it short. And I think that's pretty applicable and pretty relevant to us as well. So the first lesson he says is, everything came easy to you. So if there is a person sitting in Google as a head HR, the best way to look at that person and say, hey, it just came so easy to you. But it's not that way. That's what he says. He says, everything requires discipline, perseverance, hard work, learning, knowledge to get where you are. So nothing comes easy. That's the first thing. So don't feel very dejected if you I mean, don't think that it's easy for some people and it's tough for some people. Everyone
Yeah.
goes through the same struggle. The second thing that he speaks about, which is again very relevant to us, is failure is he's a world champion and he talks about failure. And failure is something that you have to learn to accept. So the contract job that I moved from contract to full time, it didn't come to me like that. I failed in multiple interviews. And every interview I would revise and think, why did I fail in that interview? What was that I didn't touch upon? What did that guy what was he expecting from me? So failure is constant, but what you learn from failure and move up is what is imperative. So that was the second important lesson that he kind of spoke about, which resonates with me as well, right? And the third thing he talks about is, you have to take it easy. You have to not just be worried about your career. Take it a little more easy. You do a lot of learning, not just through reading, but through also your experiences,
Yes.
also with your surrounding, your people, your parents, your friends. So while you're in your career race, don't forget all that, because that's also equally kind of important. So it's such a wonderful speech that he gave, and it's so relevant to us as well. And I would like to add one more thing, is attitude. I think a lot of companies today can groom people in their skill, but what they can't groom them is in their attitude. It's very difficult to change a person's attitude and their willingness to learn. And they're sitting there and thinking, I am the best, I know it all. That will not really make you reach where you are. Of course, you are the best and you know it all. You have to have that confidence, but at the same time, you have to have the hunger to learn and push yourself high. So these things, I think, I can't give a definite mantra, because I feel everyone has a different journey. Prafula, you will have
Yes.
your own
Yes.
journey to
Yes.
talk to me about. You will have your own experiences. So every one of us have different journey, but these are the basic ground values and rules that we follow to move up. That's what I think.
Great. Great example and great suggestion for our audience, Achal. Definitely, it will be very helpful for them. And it's very inspiring story of yours, Achal, how you have grown, how you have constantly learned, how you have kept yourself motivated in spite of different failures and all, and how you have learned from those failures as well. But again, like one good thing what I have felt is you have become a very nice storyteller as well, right?
Yes.
How you bring how, how
Yes.
how you get those different stories and add them with your own personal uh,
Yes.
masala or recipe and
Yeah.
share
Yeah.
across with others,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
very nice, Achal.
In
Great.
fact, that is a very important attribute for a recruiter, Prafula, that you should be a good storyteller. Because every person has an attention span of 8 to 10 seconds. Beyond that, the person is, zoned out. They're thinking, kya
Yeah.
khana hai, kahan jana hai, mera kutta kya kar raha hai. They are just gone off. Okay, so how do you captivate them? That is also important. Knowledge, having knowledge is not only the only thing. You also need to know how to, talk to people and engage. That's also an
Yes,
important
yes, yes. And
thing.
again, it's a definitely good learning for me personally as well, right? Because
Thank
uh,
you.
every time from every guest I call, I can learn some of the other things as well.
Absolutely, I envy you for that. You are learning from everyone's journey, and from through you, we are also learning. Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you so much, Achal. Last one question before we wind up the call. Since we are building this community for all the TA folks, what advice or suggestion you have how we can make it a global TA community and how we can help each other?
Global TA community, I'm not too sure.
But again,
Um,
India based, let's say,
let's stick
TA
to India.
community. Yeah.
See, I think this communities that has become very prominent and it is catching up a lot. It's actually really good, and I'm glad that people like you and a lot of them have this. There's, I think, another TA dialogues and all of that.
Yes.
It
Yes.
actually, see, we are not a very big community. Talent acquisition or HR is not very big. In many cases, you will know HR from here and there. But this knowledge sharing and understanding, this is like a great thing. I would think that the face to face meeting that you did recently. I think those kind of events would really help in growing the community furthermore, and also engaging in some important topics and making it more involved. I mean, even the participants who come are involved in those topics. I think that would be because everyone's filled with knowledge, and any TA guy you see is like super excited. Everyone has a point to make. HR or TA people sitting and lounging and only listeners. No, we are not one of them. So you're encashing on that energy, and it's wonderful to share best practices. I think with this we can also bring in some kind of stability or equality in terms of different companies. Like, for example, if we have a lot of offer declines, if we have, as a recruiter community, if we say, hey, you know what, we're not going to take a guy with 6 or 7 offers,
Yeah.
some kind of integrity if we bring in, eventually if we
Yes.
get to that level, then we stand together, right? So it's a wonderful thing, and I congratulate each of you, and I really wish to be a part of more and more of these activities.
Thank you, Achal, for
Thanks,
such
Prafula,
a
for
kind
being patient.
words. And
Yeah.
it was really lovely talking to you. And it was a great learning session as well for our audience. Looking forward for more interesting discussion with you. And we would love to see you grow in your career as well. So all the best. And yeah, thank you so much for your time, Achal.
Thanks, Prafula.